pulling. Give me some of your tots.
No, go find your own.
Come on, give me some of your tots.
No, I'm freaking starved. I didn't get to eat anything today. Oh, God. Gross. Freaking idiot.
Hi there, and welcome to Baseball by Design. I am SportsLogos.net minor league baseball correspondent Paul Caputo, broadcasting live, as always, from the Sunday Helmet Hall of Fame in my basement in Fort Collins, Colorado. Later on in this episode, I'll be joined by John Worthen of Worthen Design. I'll be joined by not one, but two North Dakota natives, including Elizabeth Myers of I Declare Pastry, and Jesse Ellsburn of Morning Fresh Dairy. And of course, Dan Simon will be here with one of his studio Simon Stumpers. Right now, I am happy to welcome back to the program John Bollinger, who is the owner of the Minot Hot Tots. We're going to be talking about the Minot Hot Tots today. This is such a fun brand. Collegiate summer level, Northwoods League team with a brand that's based on essentially tater tots. And I know that there's more to the story than that. So, John, I'm going to let you take it from here. How come you have a baseball team in Minot, North Dakota, named for essentially tater tots?
It's a great question. I think people in Minot wanted to ask us the same question when we were doing it. But, you know, it's if you know minor league baseball, we are different than the pros. They're about wins and losses and selling stars, and we are about fun, right? It's family entertainment, it's food, it's just time together at the park with a bunch of crazy promotions. So, you know, we started the team in Bismarck in 2016. We built a great following, and we had the opportunity to start in Minot and create a rivalry. So, you know what, we really want to showcase to the Minot community that we're different. It had teams in the past that had come and gone and not, you know, really focused more on just the game and not done it right and invested in it. And we were like, we really need a name and a brand that's going to stand out, cause conversation, make people really dig into this to understand that these guys are different. So like all teams, we did a contest, got an amazing, a bunch of submissions from folks across the area. And again, some of your classics, hey, this and that, a team in the past was this, hey, let's be the Falcons, because why not? It's, you know, but we got some really incredible submissions and goofy and out there. And one of them, and I never thought we'd even consider this, was the Minot Hot Tots. So to give you a background on how this is even relevant, all right? And I actually was not even aware of this, being from St. Louis, Missouri originally, okay? When we used to eat at the kitchen table, if you put a bunch of stuff together in a pot and my mom baked it, okay, that was called a casserole, right? Is that how it is in Colorado? A
Absolutely,
casserole?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So up here in North Dakota, there's no such thing as a casserole, all right? They call casseroles, and we call casseroles, hot dishes. All right. Kind of comes from the family farm. Hot dish typically has a meat, a vegetable, put some cheese in it. You bake it, cream of mushroom soup, right? You bake this thing and out it comes. All right. And so I'll never forget at a Larks game, like year 1 or 2, we had this thing from our food provider as one of our sides at our buffet, and it was called tater tot casserole. All right. And it's on the line. And within 20 minutes of the game starting, I'm hearing complaints. You're all out of the tater tot hot dish. You're all out. It's so good. Where's the? I'm like, did we not cook enough? Pete, our guy's like, we cooked everything we had. I mean, this is like our normal sides go through this, and I mean, it was like a firestorm for tater tot hot dish. People loved it, and it's a thing. I found that was like the farm food of North Dakota, tater tot hot dish. Every mother, grandmother has their own recipe. You know, there's all kind of similar ingredients, but then people put different things in. And I was just like, holy smokes, hot dish, tater tot hot dish. It's a thing, right? And so when we saw Minot Hot Tots get submitted in reference to tater tot hot dish, it was like, you know what? Let's put it as one of the 5. Probably won't win, but that's fun. That's clever. That's us. And sure as heck, we did the contest. And Hot Tots was one of the favorites. And we talked as a team and said, look, we know it's going to maybe cause a little ruckus because this ain't your tough, let's be another bird or something that's going to destroy you. But man, is this fun. And it tells people who we are. And that's what we went with. So,
well, it really is fun. And it's the main focus of this logo is this anthropomorphized tater tot with baseball seams on him, and he's got this really menacing expression. And he's wielding it's part baseball bat, part wooden spoon with cheese dipping off the end of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this hot tot character, you know, I mean,
his name, we just named him, Paul. If you want to know, his name is Tate R. Tot.
Of course it is. Tate R. Tot. That was information I did not have in October when I covered the launch of the team name for sportslogos.net. You are embarking on your first season now after the unveiling of this nickname. So how's it been received? How, you know, in the time since it was unveiled in October and now you're starting up your first season, how's it been received? What's the reaction like?
Yeah, I gotta say, you know, this is classic business, right? I mean, you know, you got to make decisions based off your vision, your values, who you are, what you're trying to unveil. And I'll say it's probably one of the biggest decisions I've ever had to make within the company and all my career, right? Because at first, there were people that got it. There were people in town that didn't like it, and you know, we heard comments. How could you named our team this? What on earth? A tater tot? Oh my gosh. So, you know, and it's like when you're running these things, you know what it is. You can see the vision, but oftentimes not everyone understands, well, how are you different than the last thing that was here, right?
Sure.
And so it really almost made us more emboldened to educate the public, to market to the public what we do, to ensure that we go out and deliver a great experience, that we showcase the kind of fun and the food that we're all about. And so I got to tell you, I was there for opening night, and it was May 29th. Corbett Field, it's a great facility, brand new turf, nostalgic, been there since the 30s. I mean, just super cool, but older, right? An older facility. Definitely, you know, in the future, we hope to work with Minot Parks and upgrade and do some cool things. But, you know, and the last thing that was their struggle. They didn't sell a lot of tickets, not a lot of big nights, and they were there for 5 seasons, just right before us, right?
Yeah.
I walk in there, first sellout crowd since 1997.
Wow.
1,300 people strong. I've been in this league. This was why I started. My first season was 2013. So this was my 10th season, 10th, 11th season in the league. Most merchandise sales in the first game in the history of any team. And I've been in 2 markets larger than Minot. Okay. Kalamazoo, Michigan, and Bismarck. I mean, almost double, if not triple, quadruple the size. Largest merchandise day in the history of a company we've had.
Wow.
And so when I was there, you know, watching people wear it, you know, we have a cheerleading squad. All right. They're from a local retirement community. All right. I don't think anyone's younger than 70. All right.
Awesome.
Their nicknames are the Hot Toddies. Okay.
I love this. Yeah, that's awesome.
When the Hot Toddies came out, I'm getting goosebumps. Standing ovation. I mean, people were holding hands with their sons and daughters, their mom and dads. And, you know, it was a beautiful thing. So I think, again, it's funny. You look back and reflect, and God, John, how dare you get deep about a tater tot, right? But tater tot hot dish, what did it do? It brought people together at the dinner table, right? That's what families grew up on, mom and dad, and generational. And that's the game of baseball. And that's what we do. And so I couldn't be more proud of who we are, and that the community now sees that. And we're going to continue making it the best brand possible. So
this is kind of emotional, and I will never criticize anyone for getting deep about a tater tot, right? Like, absolutely. Like, that's perfect. So, you know, with a lot of minor league teams, especially teams that create brands that push the envelope a little bit, one of the goals is to sell those brands outside their own market. Everyone loves a tater tot, you know, everyone knows what tater tots are, but not everyone knows the hot dish, right? Like, I mean, that is a uniquely upper Midwest thing.
Yeah.
And takes a certain amount of explanation for those of us who are not from there. I mean, I'm originally from Philadelphia. I live in Colorado now.
Yeah.
You know, I've only sort of loosely heard about the hot dish just from, you know, friends of mine who are from that area. How does that affect your ability to market the team, or do you try to market the team outside of the local market? You know, are you relying on the fact that people like tater tots? They may not know the hot dish anyway, or do you have to explain what the hot dish is to people?
I think it's a great question. I was sitting with a really renowned business leader in our community and picking his brain, and he said, you know, any great marketing, if you have to explain it, it can maybe be a little better. I think I look back because I agree. I think without the context, if it was the Minot Hot Dishes, it doesn't make sense. And so there is a level of that from the outside looking in. But again, we're not. I go back to the Savannah Bananas. These teams, right? They're doing something so cool. It's so different. It's the Harlem Globetrotters in baseball. They want the regional, national attention. This team is designed 95% to bring quality of life and fun to folks that live in upper North Dakota, right? This is about Minot. This is about the community. It's about our state. It's about a rivalry with the Larks in this league. And so I believe that, and ironically to that, the tater tot, we've got more attention regionally and nationally just because we named it after a tater tot.
Right.
Then people, I've always thought, in marketing, at first, if you don't have people's attention, you can never market. So I believe with the logo and brand we have their attention, and now then we have the opportunity to tell a story. And if we get tourism, I'm all about it. Get tourism, get people up here. But that's just not our bread and butter. And so while I love being on national and regional podcasts, or we get an article and go viral, I freak out. I think it's so cool. It's just not at the core of what we are and what we do, And so I think there's enough there to draw people in. To get people curious, and I hope we do a good job on the website to market and educate. But I do know our community understands and knows what it is, what it's about, why it was there, and we've got to then root that and tie that to them so that this is their team, and they're gonna cheer like hell for their tots.
That's awesome. So you're not from the area, but you've been there a little while.
Yep.
What goes into a hot dish? If you were to describe to someone the best hot dish, what do you want in it?
Well, there's core ingredients, right? And so it's got to have a meat, a protein, typically beef, but it can be a lot of different things. A vegetable, so I've green beans goes in it. Cream of mushroom is like the core, the base. And then you need your starch, which is, and I'm going to take all day tater tots, rocking that out for me. So then you see different people do different things. Cheese is like, it doesn't have to be, but cheese is really good. Bacon bits, you can get crazy. So, I am like not a picky eater. So, if someone serves it up to me, I'm gonna eat it. But you gotta have your core ingredients, and then it's been fun. I think we've done a few things where we've asked people, what's your hot dish, what's your favorite one, send your recipe in. This summer, actually, every homestand we have hot dish on our menu every night, tater tot hot dish, but every homestand we're changing it up and doing something different. So I'll eat anything, but maybe someday we'll find the best out there.
Well, so I know that we've talked previously. You've been on the podcast talking about the Bismarck Larks. You said that you served the hot dish at a Larks game and you ran out, and that's sounds tragic. Recognizing that at the time of this recording, you've not been playing for very long. How important is serving that hot dish at the Hot Tots game?
Yeah. Well, it would seem silly not to, right? It would feel like a gaping hole in the experience if I couldn't get tater tots and tater tot hot dish. So it is, and it's funny how it actually, again, we're a small town baseball team. This isn't like we have commercial kitchens. I mean, right? I mean, we're working in facilities that are built in the 30s, 40s, 50s sometimes, right? And so to make this investment, I mean, we had to get big ovens and make sure. I mean, it's a lot. I tell people we're probably the largest restaurant in the state of North Dakota. A lot of nights of the summer serving 1,200, 1,900 people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wild thing. And so that is a big part of it. And just embracing tater tot. I mean, this was my favorite thing. You'll love this. So I'm in the stands on opening night, and again, I'm honestly nobody up there. We have a GM and a front office that has really become the face of the team, and our group wanted to invest and build another great thing and the community in Minot that is going to make a big difference in people's lives. And so I'm in the stands with my wife, and hopefully be doing a little secret shopping, right? And I hear behind me this family, this 12-year-old boy, which guy's not the best age, right? He's looking through the program and he's like, "Mom, there's Napoleon Dynamite night. We have to go back for Napoleon Dynamite night, and vote for Tots." So that's actually on Thursday. and we have Vote for Tots t-shirts, and I mean,
Amazing.
just embracing the tot, like in all facets of its brand and what it means. And so when I heard that, I just said, oh man, we got it. Because, mom and dad might not think it was tough, but man, your 12-year-old son thinks this is the coolest freaking thing since sliced bread. You're screwed. I'm sorry, but you're coming, baby.
So my affinity for the ice cream helmet. We talked about that when we talked about the Larks. I've got the bright yellow Larks one out there. Do we have Hot Tots ice cream helmets yet?
I believe so. I have to defer to our operation food and beverage team, so don't quote me on that. But if we don't, that's a problem, and I'm going to make a note and check on that for you.
Well, so the next step to that question is, can we look for, hopefully someday, Hot Dish and maybe like the next size up helmet? Like, can we get a plastic helmet with Hot Dish in it at a Minot Hot Tots game?
Yeah, I mean, Paul, you're getting me to commit to something on air on the public forum that, then I'll have to do it. So I try to steer clear of these tough interviews like you're doing.
Yeah.
But I mean, why not? This sounds like a genius idea. I might have to pay you a royalty for these genius ideas.
The why not Minot Hot Dish in a helmet Sunday. I love it.
Why not Hot Tot helmet?
You have experienced the classic gotcha journalism of the Baseball by Design podcast here. So, and now you're committed.
This is going to be on the I team on the local news.
Right.
John said this, and it's not there. We're going to dig into it.
Did you not say there was going to be Hot Dish and an ice cream helmet? John, this is amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about the team. I love everything about this. Can't wait to get to North Dakota. Check off seeing a baseball game in North Dakota off my life list here, and have Hot Dish either in a dish on a plate or in a helmet. We'll see. There's going to be a grace period here before we start coming at you with our facts. But John, thank you so much. Where can people find the Hot Tots online?
Yep. So hottotsbaseball.com. Again, we got amazing merchandise. We highly recommend checking it out. And the logo is super cool. Like you said, a great collector's item for those that love logos. And again, Worthen Studios, I got to give John a shout out. He, our designer, just did a fantastic job again with this. So hottotsbaseball.com, go on there. And also, if you want to check out North Dakota, beautiful time of the year to come visit, come check us out at a game.
Well, if everything goes to plan, you'll be hearing from John Worthen next on this episode. John, thank you so much.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Paul.
All right, everyone, welcome back. I'm so happy to be joined once again by John Worthen of Worthen Design. John, we spoke recently about your work on the Bismarck Larks logo and obviously the associated Missouri River motorboaters. We're talking today about the Minot Hot Tots, which is a really fun new brand based on tater tots, a minor league baseball tater tot logo. So I wanted to get into this conversation by asking you, I know that you have done, just by perusing your website and the conversations that we've had, you've done a lot of work before you started getting involved in sports branding. You worked as a commercial illustrator. You worked in a lot of higher end commercial brands. I went onto your website and I was checking out some of the work that you've done for organizations like Energizer, like Williams-Sonoma, like Strava. Obviously, a lot of high-end design, illustrative logo work. How does that sort of serious work inform your process when a team comes to you and tells you, we got a logo based on a tater tot?
Yeah, no, that's great. It actually helps quite a bit, to be honest, Paul. It's having had and still being in that process of working with these national companies in the consumer packaged goods industry. It gives me a little bit of an insight as to maybe how and what's popular with people, and maybe how to visually position something that is, whether it's a food item or whether it's some kind of an inanimate object that doesn't necessarily have a face. It helps me to be able to create that and give energy to something like a hot tot, or a tater tot in this case, right? It allows me to be able to show or know how, like, if I do this with this tater tot and I have it moving in this manner and I have it positioned like this, then it's going to create this energy that will want to have a consumer look at it and digest that. No pun intended.
And it's not just a tater tot, it's an anthropomorphic tater tot. And when I was noodling around on your website, I found some images that I haven't really seen the team use a ton of the tater tot character swinging a bat. He's wearing little dishes as his shoes. Swinging a bat. He's excitedly looking at a spoonful of cheese. He's giving a thumbs up. And then there's another one where he's got like some shades on and he's got his arms crossed. And so, you clearly had some fun in creating this character, the personality of this character. Can you tell me about that process of approaching this logo from a character perspective, and that character being an anthropomorphic tater tot?
Yeah, absolutely. When we were going through the process to get this going, we sat down and we thought, how do you sell a tater tot? We really better figure this out. I mean, we're talking about something that is eaten and consumed, and not necessarily thought of as, hey, it's a tough baseball team.
Right.
But it works. It works, and it worked very much. And so we went through this process of, let's give Tate a backstory. Let's give Tate a opportunity to be a kid. And so we started with, okay, where did Tate come from? Where did he actually grow up? What was he doing? Was he acting like every other young child or young kid that wants to play in the major leagues? And so we did. We started looking at that, and we started animating and sketching and rolling through all these concepts of what's his personality like? What is he like? Was his mom supportive? Was she the soccer mom for baseball for Tate? And we literally went through that and created some coloring book pages and things that I'm sure will, if they haven't come out, they will soon. That really allowed us to be able to explore those positions that you talked about of that character, where he is grabbing the cheesy spoon and he's wearing the tater tot shoes, and it made it easier to know where he came from to be able to create what he does now.
I'm definitely going to have to share all of these images on Twitter, because they were ones before we did this interview, and I was checking out your website. I had not seen all of these different versions of this character. Obviously, kind of cartoony, very much kid friendly. That comes through in the color choices that you made too, right? Like, it's all primary colors. It's red, blue, yellow. Obviously, that's an intentional part of this brand. Very different when we talked about the larks grays and blacks, and then the bright yellow sort of popping against them, very contrasty. These building block colors here, the red, yellow, blue, are it's a very different feeling. Did that come from you? Did that come from the team? How did that color palette come to be?
Well, we went through an exploratory process and went through several different colors. And so it was kind of a combined effort. And I believe in the end, we started to go, what are some primary colors that we can use? And they suggested some, and I suggested some. And then between the two, we married up what we felt like had the best chance for success.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really where we went with it. Like you said, they are primary colors, but they're not your traditional yellow. They're not your traditional red, and they definitely aren't in the 100% royal family.
Mm-hmm.
We've skewed the hues a bit so that they have a little bit of modernism to it, and I think that allows, like you said, the logo to stay friendly, to reach that kid, because ultimately that's what is so fun about going to these baseball games, right? It's those childhood memories.
So I know that designers do a lot of research when they work on these logos. You are located in Arizona, which is a long way from hot dish territory. I'm curious to know, what was your experience in researching actual hot dishes in creating this logo?
Well, so I haven't always lived in Arizona. I've lived in some different states that were cold states where we had a lot of the different dishes that were hot. But for this particular situation where we were, researching on these, uh, it's amazing how much information you can glean from people that live there, that are within the state. Just speaking to people, asking them. I worked in collaboration with the team in doing research where we actually had people ask and like get feedback immediately as to the hot dish concept. And it was all positive.
The type that you created for this, the custom type that the team uses in its branding, the Larks type that you created is very stable, solid feeling. This type feels like it's evoking, the flames that are part of the logo, maybe the sort of waviness of like fluid melted cheese, something like that. What was the thinking in creating this much more fluid, organic feeling type for this brand compared to some of the other type that you've created previously?
Well, I think you hit it on the head. It was the flames, and we wanted to make sure that we really captured that looseness to it, but still we were able to maintain that sports driven look. And so when I looked at the S and when I looked at some of these different elements that we could incorporate, I thought it would be important to let those flame elements really stand out and be incorporated into the typography.
So they're in their inaugural season now. How's it going? Are you hearing from the team? Are they selling a ton of merch? I know that when this was unveiled, it was received very well online. Do you know what the reaction's been so far?
From my understanding of what I've heard from team members and just those that have been in the management positions, that it's been received very well.
That question was a little bit of a softball. I know that this has been a really popular brand online. One of the things I'm sort of curious about when I see a team like this, you don't see a ton of teams necessarily use the food item as their primary brand, right? I'm sure you're familiar with the phenomenon of all these teams are doing the alternate brands based on food, but their main identity. You got the Montgomery biscuits, and I guess you've got like some different sort of fruits and vegetables out there, but to have a food item as a main identity for a team is sort of to double down on the importance of that food item in that place. Does that affect you at all in the design process?
No, it really doesn't. I think for us, or for me as a designer, when I'm looking at a situation like that, and we're deciding how we're going to go about creating this, and knowing that it is going to live as the main identity, it was rather easy actually, because I think, again, Paul, my background. My background's been in consumer packaged goods in the foods area and arena for so many years, that it really was second hat for me. It turned into something more fun than anything, and I knew that if we captured it correctly, people would grasp on and ride the wave.
John, this has been a ton of fun. I'm so glad to have connected with you, and looking forward to speaking about more of your work. And there's a lot of baseball brands that I'm going to want to chat with you about here in the not too distant future. So I'm glad that we've connected, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. In the meantime, where can people go find all of these logos that I've been having so much fun looking at?
You bet. If you just go to worthendesign.com, you'll be able to see all sorts of different companies that I have had the opportunity to work with, and be able to give me a shout if you have any needs.
Awesome. John, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
All right, everyone. Welcome back. I'm very pleased to be joined right now by not one, but two North Dakota natives. You will recognize Elizabeth Myers from the Montgomery Biscuits episode. Elizabeth has a commercial kitchen for her company, I Declare Pastry, and we talked about the perfect biscuits. So Elizabeth is back. Elizabeth, how are you?
I'm doing great. I just hope I can talk as informatively about hot dish as I tried to do about biscuits.
I think that's the law, being a North Dakota native, that you have to talk from an informed perspective about hot dish. We also have Jesse Ellsburn, who is a North Dakota native, who is the inventory manager for Morning Fresh Dairy, which is a company here in Colorado in Fort Collins that does delicious dairy products. So not only is Jesse a North Dakota native, but now I feel like we can really like talk about the particulars of ice cream, since this is a baseball and ice cream podcast, but both North Dakota natives. Jesse, I asked if you had cooked a hot dish in your past, and you told me that there are only 3 things to do in North Dakota.
Yes, that is correct. Cooking is a big one of them.
Cooking is one of them. I'm not sure if I should ask what the other 2 are, but we'll go with cooking is one of them. So I just want to start.
There's playing cards.
There's playing cards. All right, I like that. I like playing cards. First of all, I want to get your North Dakota bona fides. Elizabeth, you were born and raised in North Dakota.
I was, yep. I was born in Fargo, North Dakota, and I lived there until I went away to college in the distant state of Minnesota, where I spent 4 years. And then, after that, I pretty much headed out to Colorado.
And Jesse, how about you?
I'm born in Dickinson, North Dakota, so southwest side of the state. And yeah, bailed about 2 weeks after high school, so just too cold.
All right, it's fair. I think I mentioned earlier on this podcast I spent a week in Dickinson once, and it snowed sideways the entire time. So I believe that. I get that. Before we get into tater tots in particular, I want to talk about the hot dish, because the hot dish seems to be the particular thing to the upper Midwest. I'm not familiar with it. To my knowledge, I've never had hot dish unless I had it and it was called something else. So Jesse, I'll start with you. What is a hot dish?
Hot dish is basically a meat, well, in my experience, meat, canned vegetable, some kind of canned cream of something or other, and topped with cheese if you're fancy, and probably tater tots or potato chips. So pretty simple, 4 to 5 things.
Okay. Well, you grimaced a little bit when you said creamed something. Was that I wish I had one, or is going to be creamed something soup in there?
Yeah, it's a iffy thing.
It's an iffy thing. You said tater tots or potato chips, so tater tots aren't mandatory?
We did sometimes. I mean, if it was kind of a dump all of whatever you had or whatever was left, and if you had stale leftover crunchy chips in the bottom of the pantry, then that seemed to wind up on top sometimes as well. So
okay. Now, Elizabeth, your chosen profession involves the culinary arts, and so I'm curious from you, from someone whose profession it is to create delicious things from scratch. What's your opinion of the hot dish?
It definitely serves its purpose. It's kind of one of those one dish meals. You kind of just dump everything into the ceramic casserole dish or your cast iron pan. And, I guess that going back to the cream of something, it's the binder. It's what brings all those lovely ingredients together so that when you dig in with your fork, they don't just fall off, I guess.
So it was a meat of some sort. It was cheese. I've already forgotten. I'm sorry. So meat and cheese, tater tots, cream of something. What am I missing? What am I forgetting?
some kind of canned vegetable usually.
Oh, right.
There's beans or mushrooms or I don't know, something.
Well, I mean, this is kind of what I think is the downside of the hot dish is the canned, or sometimes if you're fancy, frozen vegetables. But I guess it's also one of those things where you can probably put it together with whatever's in your pantry and your freezer, and you don't have to go out and buy anything, or nothing has to be in season to make this dish.
Elizabeth, could you though, is there like a high-end version of this? Could you do it with fresh vegetables and cream that you make, a cream sauce that you make yourself, and scalloped potatoes, or like if you were to try to make something like this with fresh ingredients from scratch, would it still be a hot dish?
Well, technically, I suppose it would be, but that would be like, you might get some sideways glances if you brought that to the church potluck, I'm guessing. Might be a little too pretentious.
All right. So
Yeah, I might have tried that with my family, and yeah, they give you some cross-eyed looks like, what?
so you tried to make like a healthier, sort of more fresh version of a hot dish, and it didn't work.
That's correct. Yeah, it was not well received.
Okay. All right, I'll ask you both this question here. And Jesse, we'll start with you. What's your favorite way to consume a tater tot?
Probably just straight up put some salt on it and chew it down, I guess.
Okay. Elizabeth?
You know, what's interesting is I actually consulted my mom this afternoon because I was thinking back, did I have tater tot hot dish as a kid? And I don't have strong memories of such a thing. So I asked her and she said, oh yeah, there's a chance I'm going to slip into a North Dakota accent here as I talk
I'm
in my
dying
mom's
for that
voice.
to happen. I want so bad for that to happen.
Oh yeah, I made that. Sure, you bet. And it wasn't a favorite. My grandma, so my mom's mom made that and served it to my mom and her brother growing up. So, you know, my mom learned, well, that's what you make for the family. And so she tried it on us kids and we were like, no. However, we were big hamburger helper fans.
Oh.
So go figure. Because I
All right.
think of hamburger helper sort of along those lines. It's like, it to me is also a hot dish, but perhaps in a different hot dish category.
Yeah. Is there like a new age version of the hot dish? Can you do it with like tofu and avocado oh man, the look on this is an audio podcast, but the look on Elizabeth's face just now when I said that was startling. I've known Elizabeth a long time. I've never seen that face before, I don't think. Okay, I'm not even gonna finish the question.
So that is kind of appalling, but I mean, I will say I probably wouldn't go with tofu, but I thought, well, maybe being a vegetarian, I thought, well, maybe I can come up with a veggie version. So I did look a little bit online to see what was out there. And I wasn't super jazzed about the results. So who knows? Maybe I need to spend some time on this. But I feel like it's something I want to do in the winter because I was not excited to fire up my oven and dig out cast iron and eat something like that hearty and kind of comfort foodish when it's like 95 out here.
Well, I do have to say the original plan for this interview was that it was going to be at like 7:30 in the morning. And Elizabeth actually said, I don't care what time it is, I'm bringing a hot dish. And it's been pretty warm here in Colorado. And so I sort of wondered what like hot dish for breakfast in the I Declare commercial kitchen there was gonna be like.
Well, you know, I will say, because I knew it was going to be in the morning, I looked for breakfast tater tot hot dish recipes, and those do exist, and they sound better.
Oh.
Like some egg kind of scenario, cheese, potato, all your favorites. Yeah.
Holy
I would
smokes.
make that. Yeah.
All
So
right.
we'll just have to do a rain check on that.
We will revisit that idea for sure. Maybe I don't know, like when there's some sporting event that's happening like in some other part of the world that we have to get up and like watch at 6 a.m. or something. We can do a we can do a breakfast hot dish.
Okay.
Jesse, if you're making a hot dish now, I'm still trying to picture this in my head. All of these ingredients, the meat, the veggie, the cream of something, the tater tots, and the cheese. I've got it now. I feel like I've got it now. I think I have to make this. Do you layer them, or are they all just mixed together and thrown in the oven together?
Sure. The ones I grew up on were completely just mixed together. I mean, you just stick it in the actual ceramic pan. You didn't even mix a bowl. It was just all mixed together, and then drop it in, turn on the oven, drop some cheese and tater tots on top and throw it in the oven. So it was just kind of a literal dump of food.
A literal dump of food. We got the title for this episode, I think.
Well, you know, speaking of dump, I'm sure Jesse's heard also of dump cake.
Oh.
Have you heard of this?
Is this a North Dakota thing?
It very well could be. It could be like a church lady kind of recipe.
Okay.
Where it's a cake that I've never made one, but my understanding is all the ingredients are just dumped in the pan and kind of swirled around. Is that true, Jesse? Do you
That
know?
is, yeah. My aunt's a home ec teacher, so yeah, we talked a lot about stuff like that growing up. And yeah, you just dump them in the pan, and yeah, it's like 4 swirls and throw it in the oven. And that's about it.
Yeah.
So a lot of minor league teams have alternate identities, and many times those alternate identities are based on food items. In the part of the country where I grew up, there's a team on the Delaware, Maryland, Virginia Peninsula called Delmarva. They do the Delmarva Scrapple, which is a meat product that is all of the stuff they won't put in hot dogs. And so there's a lot of teams out there that have alternate food-based identities. I'm thinking the Minot Hot Tots might need to go with the, at least for a weekend, the Minot Dump Cakes.
Perfect.
It's kind of an analogous idea, but in the dessert realm.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, that could be like the second half of a doubleheader would be they'd play as the Dump Cakes as for dessert. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, if
and
it
they'd
was
have to
after-
serve it.
I hope that
ahead.
the Hot Tots are listening. That idea, that one's for free, Hot Tots.
Right.
Jesse, before I let you guys go here, there's a specific question that I have to ask. This was information I discovered in the pre-interview process here. As far as I understand, you have a cat, yes?
Yes, 3 of them, but yes, we got a cat.
Okay, well, there's one cat in particular I want to ask about here. Can you tell me your cat's name?
Yes, my daughter got a cat about 2 years ago, and out of the middle of nowhere decided to name it Tater Tots. And so yeah, I have stood on my porch yelling Tater Tots, Tater Tots.
How did
Many
Tater
a
Tot
times.
How did Tater Tot get the name Tater Tot?
Well, it's a goofy story. She calls my husband Potato, and she's Sweet Potato. So I think naturally it just seemed like the next evolution of potatoes could be a tot. So Tater Tot it was.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, this whole brand is such a great celebration of all things North Dakota, potatoes, hot dishes. This is now, Elizabeth, now that you've been on here twice, we have to have an official title for you. I think we're going to make you the Baseball by Design culinary expert. Maybe that'll be your title there. Thank you both very much. This has been as much fun as I hoped it would be to talk with both of you about tater tots and hot dishes in North Dakota. Now I'm super hungry and ready to go have some dinner.
Perfect. Thanks for having us, Paul. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul. It was super fun, and I'm kind of craving some tater tots, to be honest.
You got to do it. I love the idea of like the best chef I know cooking tater tots.
Well, I hope I can do the frozen little buggers justice.
Frozen little buggers will be another alternate identity for the Minot Hot Tots.
I mean, can you get them not frozen? I'm not familiar with that.
No, they're not. They don't have like
I think
fresh
so.
tater tots in like the produce section, or like they have like a counter where they're like hand making tater tots and you can order them by like the pound.
That
At
would be
Whole Foods.
amazing. Oh,
Guys, we're gonna be rich.
Somebody finds them. I'll get them on trucks. We'll deliver them.
Amazing. Oh, this is Morning Fresh's new product here. I love this. Oh man. Thank you both. This was a ton of fun.
It was.
Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you, Paul.
It is time once again for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, our favorite segment of the Baseball by Design podcast, Studio Simon Stumpers, with designer extraordinaire and my friend Dan Simon. Dan, how are you doing?
I am freaking tastic. Thank you, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm curious to know, what is your favorite way to consume tater tots?
By putting them in my mouth.
I knew you were going to do this. I knew that was way too literal a question to ask you.
I don't know. Frankly, it's been a while since the last time I've had a tater tot. When I did, they were just tater tots.
Okay.
I would imagine you can get them now with different toppings and things like that. Is that what you're kind of getting at there? Like, do I like them or whatever?
I've seen them included in breakfast burritos. The Colorado Rockies serve in a helmet They used to call it the elote tots. I think they've changed the name to something else, but it was just it's a 3/4 sized helmet. So bigger than the ice cream ones, not as big as the full sized, the head sized nacho ones. And they put tater tots and elote sauce in it, the Mexican creamy corn based elote sauce. And it's delicious and a great way to eat a ton of fried potato goo at a Major League Baseball game. That's my favorite concession at a Rockies game, outside, of course, the self-serve Sunday helmet bar.
I have never had tater tots except for just tater tots. And the last time I would have had it, can't put a year on it, but it would have been at the fast food place Sonic, which I think is sort of known for, I'm sure they have French fries as well, but when you go there, I think the thing to do is get whatever you're getting, a hot dog, burger, whatever, with tater tots as opposed to fries. So that would have been the last time I had them, and that would have been quite a while ago.
We have a place here in Colorado. I don't know how widespread it is. I don't recall seeing them other places, but it's called Taco John's, and it's essentially Taco Bell, but they put tater tots in everything. So it's it's Mexican food, such as it is fast food Mexican food with tater tots in it. So it's delicious. The reason I bring this up, Dan, as you know, is this episode of Baseball by Design is featuring the Minot Hot Tots, playing their inaugural season right now. And you're here with as always, as you are every week, you are here with your Studio Simon Stumper. So Dan, let's have it.
Okay, well, as with one of our recent stumpers, I asked a question that was not the official stumper, kind of as a prelude to the official stumper. And let's do that again here. It's not a multiple choice, but do you know what company first developed tater tots?
I do not. Stouffer's.
No. Do you want to take another guess?
Let's see. Heinz's sauces. Kroger.
No, I'll tell you at this point.
Okay.
It is Ore-Ida.
Oh, would have been a long time before I got to Ore-Ida.
Okay. And Ore-Ida, for those who are not otherwise familiar with the company, it's spelled ORE-IDA, which here's another not official stumper question. Do you know why it's called that?
I don't. I have no idea.
Okay. Well, ORE is short, first 3 letters of Oregon, and Ida, first 3 letters of what?
I'm going to guess Idaho.
Yes, you do know. And so I believe the company was and is located right by the Oregon-Idaho border. So that's where the name comes from. So tater tots were first developed by the Ore-Ida Frozen Food Company in 1953. So what does that mean? This is their Tater Tots 70th anniversary, although they did not they were not for sale in stores until I believe 1956. What took them so long from their development to their making them available for public consumption, I don't know, but it's still the 70th anniversary of the development of the birth of tater tots. And they were created by the Ore-Ida Frozen Food Company as a way to use excess potato shavings that came from making their frozen French fries. So think about that. That would make tater tots are to potatoes what chipboard is to lumber. Okay, so
this is I'm loving this connection, by the way. And Ore-Ida, I've seen the name of that company out there before. Never would have occurred to me that it was 2 states mashed together. This is very much like you're familiar, of course, in minor league baseball with the Delmarva Shorebirds, who play on the Delmarva Peninsula. Do you know what Delmarva is?
Yeah, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yes, well, I knew that just because I remember when they first became a team and thinking, what's Delmarva? And I guess it was in their press release or whatever. So yeah, that's when I knew. So let's talk more about tater tots because they're really fascinating. as I mentioned, Ore-Ida developed them as a way to use the excess potato shavings. But before they started using them for tater tots, they had been selling those as the potato shavings as livestock feed. So they were still making money off of it, but now they made it, look what they made it into, a popular thing that eventually became the name of a baseball team. So here's side note number 2. Did you know that the name tater tot is a registered trademark owned by Ore-Ida?
I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised at all.
Okay. And that means that other companies who are making a similar shredded potato product have to call it something else. And that leads us to today's Studio Simon Stumper, which asks, which of these 3 names is not an actual alternative brand of tater tots? So this is 2 truths and a lie.
2 truths and a lie, one of the many alternate brands of Studio Simon Stumpers.
Okay, so which one of these is not an alternative brand of tater tots? Is it A, Teeny Taters, B, Spud Puppies,
Wow.
or C, Tater Puffs?
All of these would make great names for minor league baseball teams, by the way.
Yes, the Spud Puppies.
I'm going to ask you, Dan, this is my stalling tactic. If you would you repeat them one more time for me?
Okay. Teeny Taters, Spud Puppies, Tater Puffs.
I am going to go, okay, so here's my reasoning. My thinking here is that these names, they're going to want to get as close to tater tots as possible without being tater tots. And so the 2 that have the word tater in them, to me, feel like they're probably the real ones. And Spud Puppies is the future name of a minor league baseball team, but not one of the alternate names for a tater tot.
You're thinking, I've said this before, I'm going to say it now, and I'll say it again, is spot on. Because in addition to the 3 I just named, well, 2 of those 3 are real. Here are a couple of other names for actual tater tot brands out there. Tater Treats, Tasty Taters. So things with the word tater in it do make a lot of sense. But believe it or not, the answer is Spud Puppies is an actual brand made by Cascadian Farm Organic Food Company, a company owned since 1999 by General Mills. That's the name of their tater tots. Teeny Taters, which I can't believe nobody has used. That is not a real name. Tater Puffs are Whole Foods brand. So now here's something funny. Because of all of these copycats, Ore-Ida did an ad campaign a few years ago where they referred to these copycats as, get this, imitators. And not warning people, but getting people to go with the original instead of the imitators. So, here's one other name. There's some company who uses the name Potato Crunchies. So, and there's actually many more. They're made all over the world. So I read about Australian brands, Canadian brands, but the majority of them are made and consumed in the good old United States of America.
I have to say, Dan, your ramp up to letting me know that I got that question wrong was a huge emotional roller coaster, because I spent the whole time thinking that I had won. Have you ever seen those, like, I think it's fan graphs where it gives you the team's percentage of winning, their percentage chances of winning over the course of a game. And every once in a while, you'll see one where one team has like an 80 to 90% chance of winning the whole game. And then they blow a huge lead in the 9th inning and it plummets and it goes to 100% to the other team. That's sort of what that emotional journey was for me there, as you were telling me how great my thinking was and what some of the other examples were, and then let me know I got it wrong.
Well, I'm sorry to put you on that emotional roller coaster, but the reason I was saying that is, and you have shown this virtually every time we do one of these. You've shown that your thinking is always really, really good, and you were in essence right, not with your answer, but the fact that most of the names of these alternate brands do have the word taters in it. And so that thinking was spot on. It's just, in this case, really to me, Spud Puppies is an improbable name for this.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird one. I like it, and I
Yeah,
do think
yeah.
it would make an excellent minor league baseball team name.
Yeah,
but
huh? The
given
Idaho
that-
Spud Puppies? Come on, that would be great.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's get your
Although-
friends, the Idaho Falls Chuckers, on the horn here and see if we can't do an alternate brand for them.
Well, funny you should bring that up, Paul, because Idaho Falls was once home to a team called the Idaho Falls Spuds from 1926 to 1928, something I just know off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, this is the sort of trivia that I love to get from you week after week after week. Of course, I have, not too far from me, the Expedition League's Casper Spuds. And so, that's right, just in neighboring Wyoming here. So I guess there's some great fun to be had with potatoes in baseball. I have enjoyed this episode about the Minot Hot Tots. And now I feel like I need to go get a breakfast burrito with some tater tots in it, or not tater tots, but some off-brand tater somethings in it. But Dan, as always, this is so much fun, and thank you for bringing your trivia, which is not trivial, to the Baseball by Design podcast. And we'll see you next week.
See you then.